Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and this is the summary for the day of 819 for the 22nd of May. And the Frontline Changes report has been published, and this is recorded around 2 hours after the Frontline Changes report. So the information over here is is accurate as per the recording of the Frontline Changes report. So. And there is some information coming from today's information on the 23rd, mostly the morning ones. So we're going to start off with the strategy and tactical reporting, and we have both sides claiming that they have shot down each other's aircraft. Russia have a Sukhoi 25 shot down over Ukraine. It was first reported on the 22nd of May, and the next day on the 23rd we have a confirmation from the Ukrainian Defense Ministry about this shoot down, but there's no information about where it was shot down. And the Russian side, on the pro-Russian side, the Ryba, the pro-Russian Osin, reported that the MiG-29 that was destroyed at the Dnipro air base due to I think a missile strike from the Russian side. So we move into the Kharkiv front, the Kharkiv offensive. The Russian offensive is still ongoing, but it's starting to seem to run out of steam, with the Ukrainians starting to do more counteroffensive operations. We still have reports of fighting reported at Kharkiv. So this comes after around 1 day or 2 days, because the report come out only for 2 days. Russian Defense Ministry report. Yesterday they didn't mention it, but the day before they actually report about an attack on the Ukrainian forces at Kharkiv. So, or Granov. So we shall continue to monitor over at this Kozacha Lopan sector. Over at this Lipsy sector, Russian forces continue their assault towards Lipsy. However, the Ukrainians are counterattacking over at Gliboke, as well as over at Lipsy. So the Ukrainian forces, after the reinforcement had arrived, stopping the Russian offensive, they are now on the counter. So the similar situation is happening over on the other side. There's a geolocation though, Ukrainian artillery, Ukrainian forces getting hit by artillery. The same situation over at Voschansk. At the Voschansk sector, the Ukrainian forces have launched a major counteroffensive operation, and they have been geolocated in multiple locations. So they have geolocated in 3 different locations, and this is unprecedented for this front, because the Ukrainians has always been geolocated south of the Voschansk River. So this is the first time we have a geolocation of them in the northern part in this Russian offensive. And the Ukrainian forces basically in the video footages are conducting counteroffensive operations, and the forces that is conducting this operation seems to be very experienced. They are not like the cannon folders. These guys knows what they are doing. And so as such, the entire chunk of this territory over here has which was previously a gray zone, because there was an overlapping mapping. Ukrainian mapping and the Russian mapping was overlapping each other. So the entire part of the Ukrainian claims is now being adjusted to be the actual front line. So the entire Russian side is large part of the Russian mapping has been now invalidated. In fact, there is an increase because there is a geolocation showing that the Ukrainians have advanced further. However, Russian forces also have advanced a little bit as they are heading south. Despite they are in a major battle with the Ukrainians trying to hit into the rear position in this flanking operation. The Russians are currently still engaging in this operation around at Voschansk, so the clash is ongoing. I'm not sure if the Russians actually have a defensive position to hold back the Ukrainians in this area here. I suppose they have, but let's see what the Ukrainians can do. So this, I saw the Frontline Changes report comments. A lot of people are very triggered when I use the word turning point. It is a turning point. When's the last time you see a Ukrainians capture this much ground? So the Ukrainians are now conducting a major counteroffensive, and it is having some result. It is a turning point, but the turning point can turn back again. You can turn in the 360 degrees and go back to exactly the same point. So turning point only for the today's report. Tomorrow it might turn back into the Russian success. So don't cope so much. It's very NAFO-ish, so don't be a ruffle. whatever that is supposed to mean. So so this is the current situation over at Volchan sector. Over at the Zaporizhzhia sector, there is still fighting reported at Zaporizhzhia, with the Ukrainian Defense Ministry reported that they have repelled attack over the Zaporizhzhia region, with the Russian forces continuing their offensive to try to capture the entire of this settlement. There is no geolocation to prove that the Russians have captured the entire of Zaporizhzhia. As I mentioned in the Frontline Changes report, the Russian Defense Ministry have announced they have captured Zaporizhzhia on the 18th of May. However, it cannot be corroborated. There is still fighting being reported in this region here. So this is the reason why that you have to put some skepticism when you're reading Russian Defense Ministry report. Don't think that they are perfect. Russia is just as corrupted as Ukraine. Okay, not that's a bit too much. Russia is also a corrupted country. No, also they also do bullshit. No, they also do propaganda. They are not at the level of Ukraine. Ukraine's corruption is horrible, very, very bad. They are already famous to be very, very corrupted. Before, people would even decide to become pro-Ukraine. But the important thing to note is that in all big countries where you have massive amount of land and population, like Ukraine or Russia, there is bound to be a lot of hierarchical problems. So don't expect like this kind of thing to always be accurate. The Russian Defense Ministry may be very sincere and honest about them thinking that they have captured a town, but how would they even know that they have captured a town? It depends on the men on the ground telling them that they have captured the ground. If the men report false information, especially the commanders, they wanted to get some medals and try to improve their promotion, the chance of promotion or gaining a bonus or something, there's a high possibility that they could or they would declare gray zones as captured, and as a result this would become false information, and then the Russian Defense Ministry or the higher echelon will actually be planning operations based on false information, and then they will create bad plannings because you have the wrong information. So this is the reality at this moment. There is no corroboration, in terms of the Russian claims. So you can believe whatever you want. I'm telling you, I'm not pro-Ukraine. I'm not pro-Russia. It is what it is. So there is fighting being reported at Volchansky Kotori. This is according to the Russian Defense Ministry. They say that they have advanced further and then hitting Ukrainian positions. So this after Russians have declared that they have captured Taike on the 11th of May. This is totally not acknowledged on the Ukrainian side. So it seems like the Russians are now either attacking or they are just bombarding Ukrainian forces over at Volchansky Kotori. It is also important to note that there's a high chance this is not an attack but just a shelling, because the Russians themselves have blown up the bridge over at Taike. So this bridge here is already destroyed, so for the Russians to cross over is going to be difficult. Like I mentioned before, the Russians are blowing up all the bridges, showing that they actually have no intention to actually advance south. They are just here as a pinning operation, and it's very successful. They have drawn a lot of experienced troops into this area here. Yeah, and so this is how you draw out the troops that you want to demilitarize. So this is a war of attrition, so don't cope so much. There is a shelling also reported over at Billy Kolodias over this position, a bit of a distance. So that's about it over at the Kharkiv Front, I believe. So that's all from Kharkiv Front. We move into the Kherson Front, as we will go from the Kherson to Zaporizhzhia, Donetsk, Avdiivka, Bakhmut, Siversk and whatnot, going up in the anti-clockwise direction. In the Kherson Front, we still have reports of fighting over Krinky, according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry, on the 22nd and on the 23rd. So the latest report I've seen before the recording is the Russians still attacking Krinky. Shelling is reported at Yahinka and Vasily, according to the Russian Defense Ministry. So that's about it. The Kherson Front is always very meaningless. Over at the Zaporizhzhia Front, this Zaporizhzhia, there is fighting being reported over at Robotine region, as well as towards Novo-Andriivka. It could be a shelling, it could be an attack. Tentatively, we're not sure. This is a one-off attack. The last attack was on the same day, about 1 month ago. So we will continue to wait and see how this develops. It could just be a probing or just a fire attack. Over at the Donetsk Front, strategic situation looked like this. Russian forces attacking Makariivka, Staromayoske, Uruzhaine. There are Ukrainians counterattack at Volodymyrivka. Russians attacking Prishestivka. Russians are also attacking in the area of Novomikhailivka towards Konstantinivka, Paraskoviyevka, and they're attacking Georgievka, and the Battle of Krasnohorivka continues. So this is the strategic situation over in the Donetsk Front. And over at this Velika Novosilka sector, Russian forces have made some advance. Particularly the Staromayoske one is somewhat geolocated. We have a geolocation around here showing that the Russians indeed have made progress. And tentatively, I will go to see this as actual capture based on the Russian claims, and because it is backed by a geolocation. On the Uruzhaine side, the Russians are also claiming that they are attacking in this area here, capturing some grounds. Tentatively, this will just be a claim. I think the Staromayoske side, I will see it as a capture. So Russian forces are geolocated in 2 different locations, whereas the Ukrainians are getting shelled. I think it's an airstrike, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it's an airstrike by the Russian side in the middle of Uruzhaine, actually middle south. So Russians are conducting close air support for the ground forces as they attack. They're getting really good at this. The fire support, even with thermobaric missiles, is all getting closer and closer to the front lines. So the Russians are getting more and more well trained. But according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry, a bit of a sidetrack, that they are claiming that they have killed a lot of Russian forces. Like on a daily basis, they are claiming like hundreds and hundreds, and a lot of vehicles have been destroyed. It is possible that it is true, but we'll continue to monitor and see whether this corroborates or this leads to some kind of a frontline change where the Russians actually lose steam and start to lose grounds in a big way. So if not, then it wouldn't matter. Like I always say, Zerg rush is always a valid strategy. Russian Defense Ministry shelled Neskhushny and Velika Novosilka, as well as the Russians attacking Makariivka. So this is the current situation over at the Velika Novosilka sector. We move on. Over at the Prishestivka region, there is a geolocation of a helicopter strike, guided missile strike on Prishestivka, whereas the Ukrainian Defense Ministry, Russian Defense Ministry reported that they have attacked Prishestivka. I'm not sure if this is actually referring to this report. It could be the same thing. So we will just continue to monitor and see how this goes. Ukrainian forces is geolocated south of Voleda in between Palivka and Mikhailsky. This marks one of the rare instances where the Ukrainians actually captured ground, with the Ukrainian forces actually taken some ground between these 2 locations. I'm not sure what the Ukrainians are going to do next. Are they going to capture the rest of this dacha, or are they going to head into Palivka? So we will continue to monitor and see how this develops over at this Voleda sector. Ukrainians are attacking Volodymyrivka, according to the Russian Defense Ministry. This is the last time they mentioned this was on the 20th, and before that on the 18th. So the Ukrainians are starting to develop something over in this direction, heading towards Volodymyrivka. We will just wait and see, if this is going to become something serious. But this is actually very far from where all their logistic base, so it is going to be a bit hard to actually attack in this area here. Over at the Novomikhailivka Konstantinivka sector, Russian forces are attacking Paraskoviyevka and in the area of Novomikhailivka towards Konstantinivka. So the current situation is like this. They are attacking, but we have no other information regarding this. Moving up over the Marinka sector, Russian forces are attacking in the area of Georgievka, but they still have not captured. The Russian claims that they have captured most of Georgievka cannot be corroborated, so there's a high chance that this did not happen. There's no geolocation to confirm this. In fact, the Ukrainian mapping still marks most of Georgievka is under Ukrainian control. So this parallel universe is very, very bad, very, very serious. So we will continue to monitor. There's a good chance as the experience goes, the Ukrainian mapping is actually more accurate. Over at Krasnohorivka, Russian forces are geolocated in two different locations. Both are within where we have already marked the border. However, Deep State UA, the pro-Ukrainian source, reported that the Russians have captured almost all of the industrial area in the western part of Krasnohorivka. So the fighting continues in this area here. I'm not sure where the current push is other than this one that the Russians have made some success. Traditionally speaking, the Russians are attacking from the east and also, of course, through the center. And the Ukrainians so far have been holding back the Russians pretty decently well, but then they start to lose this ground, which means that the Russians from now on, they can actually, have some flexibility. They can now attack towards the rear position and totally ignore Krasnohorivka, as they can now break through and blitz all the way to the rear. Or they can actually, swing around and, attack the rear position. But generally, I feel that, attacking further into the rear is a good solution. But anyway, I'm not a commander, so it's okay. Moving on, over at the Avdiivka Front. So at the Avdiivka Front, Russian forces are attacking at KLISHCHIIVKA, which is something new. We have never seen the KLISHCHIIVKA being reported to be attacked. This is by the Russian Defense Ministry. This comes after Netolove seems to have been fully captured or almost fully captured by the Russian forces. Ukrainian forces are counter-attacking at Netolove, reported by the Russians as well. Russians attacking Yasnobrodivka. There's a clash at Umanske. Russians attacking at Semenivka towards Novoselivka, Persia. There's a clash at Solovyove. Russians attacking Sokil, attacking towards Progress, towards Novo-Oleksandrivka. Ukrainian forces attacking at Charitine. Russians are trying to expand out. Ukrainians attack at Arkhangelsk. Russians attacking towards Kalinove. So this is the strategic situation over at the Avdiivka Front. Very, very complicated, arrowing around. As I mentioned before, this looks like a pincer, but the Russians don't really care. They just continue to push out. They continue to push out in this direction. We shall continue to monitor and see how this develops. Otherwise, in terms of some geolocation, Russian forces geolocated just off Bedaichi. So confirming the front line is correct. There is no the gray zone continues to be over at the western part of Arkhangelsk. Russian forces don't seem to have much progress now over the past 24 hours, but it's interesting that the Russians starting to attack a bit more. So maybe there is a revival of this Avdiivka offensive, maybe, because there is this winding down feeling over the Kharkiv Front. So maybe the Kharkiv Fronts have achieved its objective. Now Avdiivka will start to push, and then they do a vice versa kind of thing. You do, then I do, you do, then I do. Kind of situation. So over at the New York Front, Russian forces are attacking at New York region, and then there is a geolocation of a Russian airstrike over at Oleksandropil. So that's about it, I think, over at the New York Front. We don't have anything else. We move into the Bakhmut Front. In the southern flank of the Bakhmut Front, yesterday I mentioned that the Russian forces have captured most of KLISHCHIIVKA, and they are only leaving just a little part of the settlement as well as the high ground that the Russians need to capture. But the Russian Defense Ministry in yesterday's report declared that they have captured KLISHCHIIVKA. So Ryba have not objected against this report. They simply acknowledged it. They acknowledged that there are some reports saying that the adjacent heights are captured on the south, which means this area here. However, the higher this area here, this northern or rather western part of KLISHCHIIVKA is also very vital. So if the Russians did not capture this area here, then I wouldn't have said KLISHCHIIVKA is captured. So the Russian Defense Ministry announced it. I have my doubts. We will continue to monitor, because this reminds me of the Zaporizhzhia situation, where the Russians came very close to capturing it. Maybe a lot of the places is gray zone, and then they just declare capture. But KLISHCHIIVKA has a very long history of false reports of capture. So we will continue to monitor, because this is a really hard place to capture due to the high ground on the western part. Then in today's Russian Defense Ministry report, they declared the capture of ANDRIIVKA. So this is more plausible, because ANDRIIVKA is actually a very small place. But if both reports are actually accurate, if Russian forces secured all the high ground and they have captured ANDRIIVKA, which means that they would have straightened the entire front line in this way, and Ukrainians would have to fall back to the second line of defense and the third line of defense in this southern part of the Bakhmut Front. So it would be a massively serious development in the Bakhmut Front. But tentatively, we will continue to wait for confirmation. Tentatively, I do not put this as a flag. DPA's position, this is not captured yet. This is just announced by the Russian Defense Ministry. We want a second source, a second corroboration for these things. Over in the central sector of the Bakhmut Front, Russian forces are attacking in the area of Ivanytsky, and they are attacking towards Chasivya. They are attacking at Novi, and particularly over at Novi, we have some frontline changes, where there's a Russian geolocation. Geolocation of Russian forces showing that Russians are trying to push in. They're still largely on the edge of the city. However, on the northeastern part of Novi, Ukrainian mapping have acknowledged that this area here is now under Russian control. So this is previously reported. I have done this report previously that the Russians have captured this area here, or at least there's a claim. So this is based on Russian reports, because if it's geolocation, then I would have changed the entire front line. So which means that this is actually a Russian report of this capture of this area here. It was a claim. So now the Ukrainians have acknowledged this. So we'll continue to monitor and see how this develops over the Novi region. And that's all from the Bakhmut Front. Over at the Siversk Front, a Siversk offensive continues with the Russians continue to attack over at, let me move this way, at Bilohorivka. Ukrainian forces counterattack at Bilohorivka. Russians attack Verkhovno-Kanyamsky in the Vimka region and Rozhdolivka. Particularly, we have some development over at Ivano-Darivka region or Spurny region because of the geolocation. This geolocation is pretty advanced from the Ukrainian lines. It's around it's 1.5 kilometers almost. The Russians geolocated in this area here, getting attacked by Ukrainian drones, shows that the Russians have actually advanced much further than we previously understood, which invalidates the entire area here that was still claimed to be under Ukrainian control. So the Russians have actually advanced pretty much a lot in the area of Spurny towards Ivano-Darivka. So we'll continue to monitor and see how this develops, where the Russians actually, cut off all the retreat route for Spurny, forcing a Ukrainian withdrawal from Spurny. That is a possibility. So otherwise, I think this is the strategic significance of this development around here. But this is a very difficult place. This is a bit hilly around here. Siversk is a horrible place for the Russians. They do not have very good records around here. Over at Crimea, over the southern flank of the Crimea front, Ukrainian forces attack in the Kharkiv region. There is geolocation of Ukrainian forces invalidating some of the Russian mapping. Russians are attacking at Torsky and Terny. So that's all from the southern flank of the Crimea front. You want to know more about this? I already mentioned in the frontline changes report. I don't think it's very important, so I'm not going to rehash it. Over the northern flank of the Russian forces attacking at Nevsky and Makiivka. And further up north, it would be Sviatove. So I'll have to zoom out a bit, and I'll probably cover this a little bit better. Russian forces are attacking over in this area. This is what it's called, Serhievka. So the Russians are attacking at Serhievka. They are attacking towards Druzhelyubivka. They are also attacking towards Grekivka. Ukrainian forces counterattack at Novovodyan. So important thing to note is that these two attack, the Druzhelyubivka as well as Grigevka or Grokovka is actually reported by the Ukrainians. The Russians actually say the Ukrainians attacking at Novovodyan. So there is this parallel universe of sort where the Ukrainians say that the Russians are attacking, the Russians are saying the Ukrainians are attacking, and Russians are attacking at Makiivka and Nevsky. As you can see, it's getting a bit intense, particularly in this sector around here. We will continue to monitor and see whether we will actually have anything. This, you can see, is Ukrainian Defense Ministry reporting this, and then this is by the Russians. And again, if you want to look at this map, check out the link in the description for the link to this mapping. You can actually check all the sources. I don't make shit up. Everything is mapped everything is sourced. There's a source for every single piece of information. And also, if you want to find the link to the map, to the videos, I have dropped it below as well. You can actually click the link there, and then you can actually find all the reports, the video reports. So make things very easy for you. So there is also fighting reported in the Siversk Berestove region. Russians are attacking in both different directions. So we will continue to monitor this. Usually, we talk a lot about it, but very little things happen. The Battle of Berestove continues. Russian forces have taken one street. The Ukrainians have the rest of the small little village, but there's no updates around here, so we just have to wait. And then we move into the Kupiansk Front. At the Kupiansk Front, Russian forces attack at Sinkivka, towards Petropavlivka, as well as Ivanivka. And that's about it. There's no further information about this location. And I believe I've covered everything. So this is the summary for the day of 819 for the 22nd of May. Do press the like button, subscribe. I have no idea what the hell is wrong with the views. It goes up and down, up and down, up and down for no apparent reason sometimes. So you may not see some of these videos. So I'm sure a lot of people is looking for the videos, but no, it was never recommended to them. So there's nothing I can do about it. It's all up to the whims of the YouTube. So do share. Do press the like button. I think every time you press the like button, it helps. And then of course do share this on your social media. I think it also help a little bit. I think it's not much because YouTube views are very dependent on YouTube's recommendation. If YouTube don't push it, then usually the videos will not do well. It's true for everyone, every single YouTube channel. So it is what it is. Anyway, thank you for watching. I'll see you guys in the next update.